Ohayou gozaimasu, konnichiwa, konbanwa. Whatever time it is for you, it's time for another episode where we deep dive into the island of Tsushima during the height of its invasion by the Mongol Empire. So join me and Jin Sakai, and I'll see if I'll be SuggesTing Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima is a story open world adventure game with RPG elements, which will have you travelling across Tsushima as a badass samurai called Jin Sakai. You'll be exploring, completing many different tasks while you admire the absolutely stunning scenery, slaying many enemies, and photo mode is getting more and more featured in games, and I have taken over 150 pictures. This game is gorgeous. Let's take a look at what I feel really captured me throughout. The exploring. If I love anything about this world, is that it's so photogenic. It's that annoying friend you have that looks great no matter what, and you're just stood there with a weird face, except one key difference. I bloody love this world. Unlike that person. I was constantly stopping to play with the lighting, weather, time of the day, and the angles, and to be honest, we have some stunning photos, which I will be making available over on my Discord if you want some awesome Ghost of Tsushima wallpapers. One thing I can really appreciate in this world is how much less reliant you are on the HUD. No mini-map and the wind guides you. Yes, you can still look at the map, but for the first time ever, I wasn't constantly on it. I could just slide up on the touchpad, and there, it's guiding me. Blowing the foliage around is a real nice change of pace compared to recent games that throw 1,000 icons on at you. And sometimes even show you the best path to take. I like the fact that the wind just points us the right direction, so if there's a cliff in the way, or a scaling point, or you can go round, either way, the wind is pointing specifically at the objective, so however you get there is your choice. And no offense Horizon Zero Dawn, but that was probably one of my worst open world map experiences. This is probably my favourite, next to Breath of the Wild. The island isn't too big or too small, and it's split up into 3 regions, which it starts in Izuhara, a pretty area with a lovely landscape. Toyotama houses my least favourite and favourite areas, a marsh that is gross, but even some of these areas, it looks nice with its pretty flowers. Followed by the red leaf trees and Castle Shimmer, which looks awesome and lovely. The final area is Kamiogata, which is a snowy region, and for the first time ever, the mountains are not my favourite area to be, because I just loved how vibrant the colour was. And even like the little details like kicking up the leaves as you walk through, and I played on performance mode too, so it could look even better. There is so much to do when you're roaming around. Fog stands are absolutely adorable. Following these little guys around to the Inari shrines, and their cute little sounds, paying respect, and if you're lucky, you get to pat them too. I would do anything for these guys, and yes, before you ask, I have taken plenty of pictures of these little guys. And you just look at that little hop, they're just so happy! But these cute guys have a purpose. Initially, very useful because they are used to increase the number of charm slots that you have, which are, well, charms that grant bonuses such as increased damage under a certain number of health, and then also 2 types which are broken into major and minor charms. What I will say about these Inari shrines is while I love them so much I wouldn't change it, but you max out these slots very early. Everything after is upgrading charms, and I would love for it to feel a bit more important to see them all. And to counter-argue myself, it's good that if you don't like seeing these adorable guys because you're a monster who hates cuteness, you don't have to find many to get everything that you really need. Charm slots. Next up is the Bamboo Strikes. These are a small and quick memory test which will have you hitting from 3 incrementally to 7. They are a fun little challenge which will give you additional resolve, so it really is worth it. Do you like healing, cool abilities, and even picking yourself up when you're defeated? Then make sure if you're going to focus on anything, it's these. Now it's time for Jin's luscious onset. These natural hot springs will give you time to reflect on what's happening, and it will let you choose so you get to see how his mind works. Plus, we get some additional health every time we discover a new one. And you know what? I ain't hiding it anymore. I want to see more of Jin's booty to the point I may create a category for a speedrun called Booty Percent. Don't at me. Unless you want to partake, then do at me. This is the internet after all. I only like it when you agree with me. There are 2 more types of shrines. One is super sneaky. If you're here and you're still playing, then if you see a sign that has a bowing action, you better do it. Trust me. The other is a little climbing challenge, nothing too difficult, but something that usually tests your grappling abilities, which I might add is pretty good, but here is something I'd like to ask you guys. Would you prefer a better animated slow experience where you don't laser onto the grappling points, or something fast, responsive, and albeit worse animated? In some cases, I would prefer the former because of the visual appeal, and even though it isn't more difficult, it gives the impression that it is. And it does feel out of place because so much feels well animated, so it stands out. But I will say that this game is all-round fast experience, and with its fighting, so I can imagine a more grounded grappling hook could have been quite jarring. One last feature to exploring is the haikus. You'll find a lovely, picturesque location, a mat for Jin to compose himself, take in the scenery, and then you get to form a haiku. A choice of 3 for each of the 3 lines could lead to some rather well written, and the fact it's fully voiced with some cinematic shots of the scenery makes it.
Overwhelming force. Heading to uncertainty. Rushing to the end.
Plus, a little cosmetic headband to help me look better doesn't hurt anyone. I just want to emphasize how good this whole experience is. When you're exploring, there is so much to do you can just gently distract yourself with, and it became a running joke in the stream that I would maybe do 1 story mission and then 5 hours of doing everything else. And it wasn't due to a lack of drive to follow the story, but simply how enjoyable it all was. This game is an embodiment of stop to smell the roses, be it with photo mode, staring at Jin's butt, relaxing in onsen's, slicing bamboo, saving strangers on the road, or following adorable foxes to a Nari shrine. I've been insanely lucky lately with the games I've been playing. Final Fantasy VII Remake, God of War, and now Ghost of Tsushima. Its responsive, fluid, varied combat makes me feel like a samurai badass, which, let's be honest, is the most important thing we need. I don't think I ever had a moment where a hit felt like BS, although predicting those spearmen was tricky at times. Now let's break it up into stances. An enemy could have many weapons, so there are stances which are optimized for each of them. Stone is great against sword and looks more like a traditional moveset and breaks guards really well. Water takes on shields and it flows. It's so fluid. But seriously though, it looks great. It absolutely destroys shield users with a killer combo, and when he does that hit and turns around, I feel all giddy in awe of how cool it looks. Wind is designed against spearmen and feels very acrobatic, plus it lets you kick people off edges, and that's always fun. It's also one of the most overpowered when it comes to facing spears, and it sounds silly because it's the anti-spear stance, but hear me out. Your kick and overhead hit makes you really commit, and early game it punishes you, so how do they fix that? One of the upgrades in the stance lets you automatically counter any spear attack if you're in the middle of an attack, which lets you go absolutely ham at taking them all down. The last one is really needed, Moonstars, which is the anti-brute. I don't know about anyone else, but I couldn't stand when I could do nothing as these behemoths swung their poleaxes and I would just fly all over the place because I couldn't roll quick enough. So being able to have an interrupting hit that can stop him from firing or sending me over the hills, it also makes you feel like Link due to the spin attacks. I've almost insulted myself here that I didn't talk about this first. Standoffs are a big thing for this game. It's very symbolic to the references of the Kurosawa movies. You stand there, sword sheathed, drawing at the last second possible, taking down as many as 3 to 5 depending on the armor you have. Probably for the first act of the game, it's a quite cool way and easy to take down at least 3 enemies. When more difficult guys are introduced, they start to bait you into drawing early, and we all know that premature draw isn't that common, and it is a big deal. Mongols, bandits, Ronin, samurai, boars, hawks, and dogs. Damn you game, why do you make me fight doggos? Anyway, Mongols gradually get more difficult, and you can tell by the armor, along with the Ronin, they are the sneaky little bastards who try and make you draw early, making you not only lose health, but also not gain resolve to keep you healed in a fight. Talking about that though, in a fight, one thing that always happened to me, and it looked like for a few others too, is when you heal, you always get hit again. I would often end up healing 4 more times because for some reason I couldn't parry and press down to heal at the same time. Leaders are a nice change of pace, there's an incentive to take them on and observe, which adds a point to unlocking the stances we explained earlier. Duels are bloody amazing, they are all in dramatic sets of awe-inspiring scenery. Very dramatic, great for a picture and an actual challenge. Whether it's among the spider lilies, crashing waves, or the autumn leaves, the second they clash I would stop and be like, picture! My only real criticism though is if you're in the Kurosawa mode, you have no way to tell what is parable and only dodge. And anyone who doesn't know this, it's usually indicated by a blue or red flash. But when it's in black and white, you have to assume that everything cannot be parried if there's a flash. However, I know this is a very niche problem, but something to bear in mind. There are many ways to mix up the fighting, whether you're being the Ghost or Lord Sakai. For me, it was the upfront, fight me and do it honorably, so bringing out the perfect parries, deadly dodges, and awesome mythic abilities which had amazing tales. The ink-drawn and animated stories look stunning, and the moves you learn, such as Heavenly Strike or the Dance of Wrath, just reinforce this feeling of being a force to be reckoned with. And speaking of being an unstoppable force, there is one final element to all this: stealth. Fighting as the Ghost is a completely separate experience altogether. Use everything in your favour to give you an edge, and either take them down quickly, and if you're lucky, quietly too. You have kunai, smoke bombs, black powder bombs, sticky bombs, poison darts, hallucination darts, so you have plenty of tools to take them down. You can even get most of these on R1, so as long as you have it prepared, it is incredibly smooth. Triple assassination is just awesome to see, and the Shoji assassination, which is stabbing a guy through a door then pulling him through, is amazing. Talking of using everything in your favour, smoke bombs will almost guarantee a triple kill. Hallucination darts are amazing for creating a distraction. I avoided it because I wanted to be honourable, but the game liked to put you in a position to compromise the stance. Anyway, if you use that dart, go for the brute or the commander. It takes the men a while to kill him. Kunais are one weapon you cannot go without. They are perfect for taking down weaker enemies, especially archers. Black powder bombs really clear the decks if you're looking for a getaway, and if you're out of smokes, use these as you part the enemies like Joseph did the sea. Now, while I would love to discuss one more thing which is technically combat related, I feel it is a spoiler. And it's also here I'd like to say that the entire story section will be classed as a spoiler as well, so if you want to avoid that, skip to the time frame below. It starts off with a big dramatic piece. Lord Sakai and Lord Shimura are about to charge down to their deaths, fighting a large, unstoppable force. Before you do, you send Lord Adachi to take on their best warrior to ruin their morale with a duel. However, the Mongols have no honor, and Kutan Khan sets him on fire, causing you to charge down the beach, fighting and killing many as you go through. But most of the samurai are killed, Lord Shimura is captured, and as you get up injured, to save him you are shot by 2 arrows, passing out. You get a better look at the Khan, holding up to Mongol reputation, claiming to learn everything about that culture, so knows exactly who to burn, tame, and then they knock out Lord Shimura. Jin wakes up. He was saved from the battlefield by a lady called Yuna. She seems pretty capable when she takes down a Mongol soldier, but they have to leave Komoda. So you get your first idea of stealth. Overall, it doesn't feel BS, but if anything, there's an occasional moment where you know you should have been spotted but wasn't. Then you get your first flashback. And I love how Ghost does this because they always use objects or what you're doing to trigger it. It's just like Jedi Fallen Order, and I wish more games did it this way. But it's always Lord Shimura training you to become a samurai and learning the code, therefore the principles that guide them, which plays a huge theme. You escape Komoda with Yuna and you get your horse. I named mine Nobu and I just love him so much. But you know that Lord Shimura, your uncle, needs to be saved. Yuna has promised to help so long as you help save her brother Taka, who is a skilled blacksmith. So you take the samurai approach, up front and charging down, honorably, while Yuna keeps telling you about the sneaky thief ways. But Jin is insistent. You get through, face Kutan Khan, and well, he is clearly much stronger, and it ends with him pushing you off the end of the bridge. Another flashback, and it shows how Jin's dad dies along with the guilt he suffers, and with it another focus on carrying his father's legacy. And you get a look at some badass Clan Sakai armor. You survive, and when talking with Yuna, and realizing most of samurai are dead, you come to the conclusion that new ways of fighting is how not only Tsushima will be saved, but your uncle too. It's here where the game really opens up. It leaves you free to explore Izuhara and breaks it up into main story missions. Tales which are separately the tales of Masako and Sensei Ishikawa, followed by some more later on. Now it's time though to work towards saving Taka. You go to a Mongol prison camp, sneak in and stab someone in the back, which is rough and messy, starting another flashback, reiterating how you fight someone face to face, and you can see the internal conflict he's having. But the information from one of the prisoners will take you to Azamo Bay. Yuna has a friend there and she'll meet you later on, after I take a few more pictures. Allies. Jin needs allies to help rescue Lord Shimura. So who can we get? Well, there's a band of Ronin called the Straw Hats who we could hire. So as you're tracking them, Ruzo is found that he's a childhood friend, who happens to be the leader of the Straw Hats Ronin. and they're starving. So you go on a mission to get some food, which involves some cool fighting, and then it ends with you handing them a map to Mongol war camps because the boats had nothing for them. Fast forward to Osmo Bay, you meet a man called Kenji, a dodgy sake brewer, and you use his cart to sneak in, while Kenji distracts them. It was here where I had another flashback because I air assassinated a guard, and oh boy do I feel like I'm betraying everything he stands for. Because yet again, I am breaking the principal's code thing. But you save Taka and enlist his help because we will need a competent smith to help with armor, tools, and weapons. Liberate Komatsu Forge, and it's a place known for its blacksmiths, and it's here when defending everyone that people who are just in awe at your fighting that Yuna says that Jin is a vengeful spirit, which is where your fame begins. Taka makes you a climbing hook so now you can scale the walls of Castle Canada. Afterwards, it's time to meet Ruzo, because some straw hats have been captured, so you sneak in with this lovely new hook, open the gate to slay every Mongol in your path. But there seems to be a problem. The straw hats in prison were allowed to sing, and they were well fed. So it ends with Ruzo leaving concerned, but it's okay because he's promised to help liberate Lord Shimura. Before we cover the rescue, I want to give you guys a basic overview of some additional help you'll get on your journey. One is Sensei Ishikawa. He's betrayed by a student, and now you must hunt her down, all the while she is training Mongols the way of the Japanese bow. Next is Lady Moscow. During the invasion of the Duchy estate was attacked and her entire family was killed, and with her husband burned by Khutun Khan and the sons killed in the Battle of Komoda Beach, she is now the last of the Adachi. So now you'll go on a hunt for the killers, then in return she will aid you in saving Lord Shimura. Okay, that's the tale so far, back to the story. Your allies have come together, but one is missing, childhood friend and leader of the Straw Hats, Ronin, Ruzo. The attack cannot wait any longer, you sneak in, take down many guards, but who is waiting for you? Ruzo! He joined the Mongols to feed his men, and Jin tries to convince him otherwise, and even offers him to become a samurai. But it ends with a duel, and when you best him, he alerts the guards you're there. You then go to rescue Lord Shimura, which has you fighting your way out together. These scenes are bloody awesome, and a theme that comes back, though, is that we'll win a samurai. Now in the second part of the island, called Toyotama, Jin and Lord Shimura take an outpost revealing the task at hand to capture Castle Shimura, which is recruit the Yarikawa people. This won't be easy because both clans Sakai and Shimura quashed a rebellion by them, so tensions are quite high. Jin needs to claim his family's armor, then ask for reinforcements from the Shogun because the invasion hasn't spread from Tsushima yet. Sending for reinforcements is actually a cool mission, which caught me by surprise. You meet a pirate who is a skilled boatman, and with Shimura and some skilled samurai you send off the pirates to deliver a message, but they are caught by a Mongol navy. So you grab a Hwacha, which is this badass machine with 100 fiery explosive arrows. It's a blast to shoot. You're welcome, by the way. But the Mongol ships are left at the bottom of the bay, and you pray the Shogun hears your call. But it ends with a touching moment. Lord Shimura is proud of the warrior, the man Jin has become, and asks the Shogun if he could formally adopt him and make him heir to his legacy. Clan Sakai. Only one remains, and that's Jin. Due to how he saw himself as a coward leading to his father's death, it seems he was too ashamed to wear the armor, and in fact he actually refused to wear it at Komoda Beach. But the times are changing, and maybe he looks at his past differently now. Either way, the armor is badass. I've always loved the whole stag look, so having a samurai helmet looking mean as hell with antlers, that's just great. You then get a little side tale with Yuriko, who used to care for Jin when he was little. It's very heartwarming and sad, but a great piece of storytelling. Recruiting the Yarikawa was always going to be tough considering the history. You sneak in thanks to the fact that Yuna and Taka are from there. The steward of Yarikawa is still the same family that they overthrew back in the rebellion. But he's just happy to sit in his walls, not realizing the might of the Mongols. Jin learns that some of the best archers went off to hunt Mongol soldiers, so they have to be found and brought back to prepare for the upcoming fight. The warriors are found, you take down some more Mongols, and then head back to Yarikawa. Before we cover the siege, there are two other tales to start in Toyotama. One is Norio, a warrior monk, and his tale is all about protecting shrines and the people. He's a genuine guy who shares a deep remorse for how many of his friends died against the Mongols. The next is Yuna, which has you go deep into her past. You find out about her abusive mom, being in slavery, and then having to face those demons by dealing with the slavers. It's good to see Yuna and how she became who she is. Breaking the siege Yarikawa is a really pivotal moment in the game. You fight at the gates, run out and take down a trebuchet, and then duel a Mongol general. As he's staggering away, you get a button prompt, and you stab him through his chest and decapitate him. In front of all his men, you assume the ghost stones, which is there to terrify the enemy. This is also unlocked by achieving 6 kills without taking any damage, but in return, you've given some insane kills, taking limbs, making others flee, but it ends with a ghost inspiring the people, and therefore pledging their support. You catch up with Lord Shimura when you're given news of Ruzo and his men poised to attack our flank. You go to deal with him, and for some reason Taka helps too, but he did well distracting many of the soldiers, making it way easier to get in. But when you find Ruzo, it's a trap. You're captured. Jin wakes up to see Taka also tied up. The idiot came back to see if you're okay and got captured. Khutun Khan appears, and after some attempt to sway you over, he offers Taka a choice: to kill the ghost and be set free. He tries to attack the Khan, but it ends in a brutal beheading, leaving Jin screaming. Jin eventually gets out of his bond, recovers his gear, killing many Straw Hats. Yuna appeared, she's heartbroken, refusing to leave Taka behind, so the mission ends with a burial. It's time to claim Castle Shimura. When you return, the Shogun forces have arrived, so you, with your allies, begin the battle, which is awesome. I love the feeling of being with an army, but also an army with competent fighters, because it really is rare in games. You get to tear them apart with a Hawacha, but they're forced to retreat over the bridge, and as your forces are charging, burning horses with carts of explosives are charging out, and it kills many men. Shimura insists on repairing the bridge and attacking at dawn, but this time Jin refuses, saying too many men have been lost. They discuss this in private, warning that he is turning into the enemy and cannot continue down this path. But he gets heated and he hits Jin, ending the conversation. As you're speaking with your allies though, it turns out Taka was working on something else before he passed, and that is ghost armor, great for sneaking, and the ghost stance. Go figure. You hookshot your way under the bridge, sneak in, poison the milk supply, and it is gruesome. I know they're Mongols, but I felt bad. And it turns out that Ruzo is in the main keep. He tries to get you to pretend he was a spy, but Jin asks him to surrender. It ends with a duel and you easing his suffering. It is quite disheartening to see Jin forced to fight a lifelong friend. But as he walks out, Lord Shimura has arrived to see the bloodbath that ensued. He begged for Jin to renounce the ghost, but he refuses, and it ends with Jin in jail. Stuck in jail, you hear Kenji's voice, and as usual, he's using his sake to distract the soldiers. You sneak out, getting to Nobu, but as you're making your escape, Nobu is shot with arrows. And I thought Red Dead 2 was sad, but I was so upset after this. Just having to re-watch this has upset me. And this game, reinforced with every mission, you finish the mission, right? Jin is saying something nice to Nobu, or even napping, feeding him, just all round giving him attention. So seeing Nobu carry Jin till he drops is heartbreaking. And thank you game for actually putting Nobu's grave on the map. Jin reaches the final area called Kamigara. The local village is burned down, poison used on the locals, which is a direct backlash from the ghost because they learned his poison. But as you're getting shot, collapsed, throwing up blood, Yuna is there to nurse you back again. I'm all thinking the same thing here. Imagine where this would have been without her, because she is carrying him. You recapture Jokaku Temple, and all your allies come back, even soldiers from the Yarikawa, because they understand you did what you had to do to save them. Now it's time to scout for the Khan. Jin learns that he's held up at Izumi port, and a storm is coming, so it's the perfect time to attack while his ships are in port. You then sneak into Castle Shimura to leave a letter inviting him to join the attack, and it's interesting to see what all the soldiers think of not only Jin, but Lord Shimura. But it sucks to hear other lords hinting at having to take this land because both of them are incapable. The day of the attack has come, everything is falling into place, Lord Shimura isn't here, so your allies draw the attention of the Mongols so you can sneak in. As you do though, you hear Lord Shimura join the fight with a no mercy. You find the Khan, and this is a great boss fight. As you do more and more damage, he'll throw men at you, using everything he can to gain an edge. You break his weapon, turning him into a sword and shield build, which is honestly not something I expected, but it was nice, because just when you learn his moveset, it changes to keep you on your toes. But you defeat him, he is all, I will be replaced. We will be remembered, to which Jin finishes with a, no, you'll be forgotten, and freaking decapitates him.
We will be remembered forever. No, you will be forgotten.
While Yuna and Jin are talking on the way out, they know that while the Khan is dead, his soldiers are still here. I like the choice of saying she's a good person, and being inspirational saying that her thievery is in the past, and what she is tomorrow is her choice. However, after the battle, a messenger approached Yuna and asked Jin to meet him at their old sparring ring in Omi village. Lord Shimura informs that Clan Sakai was disbanded by the Shogun for what he did, and as punishment for him, he has to collect Jin's head. Both are devastated that these two, who are essentially father and son, are duty-bound to fight. What made this fight mean so much more than the difficulty was the emotional implications. While neither of them would change what they did, the fact that it has poised them against each other is devastating. I really like that they had us write down the last words of Clan Sakai and potentially Clan Shimura.
Hands that shape the world. A fate neither of us want. Will death redeem us?
And it's probably one of my favourite haikus. It isn't a hard duel, mainly because I have literally maxed out everything at this point, but the raw emotion behind it all had me incredibly upset at the prospect of hurting Lord Shimura. Of course, Jin being the best swordsman in all of Tsushima, you best him. You were given a choice though, do you spare or kill him? I opted to spare. Jin says he has no honour anyway, and he won't kill his family, to which Lord Shimura says he'll be hunted to the end of his days, but more in this isn't the life I planned for you. It's all very sincere. I'm glad I spared him though, because at least the Shimura line can continue. The kill option ends with Jin saying he'll be remembered as a great warrior, wise leader, and a father. Shimura embraces him as his son and says to find him in the next life. It's devastating to watch. They also added the controller vibrating as a heartbeat that slowly fades. And I would say on a canon front, it'd be weird to pick this option seeing as Jin has already embraced his ghost path. Where do I even begin? This journey was everything I wanted to be, and more. This is the only game in the last few years I've not only gone for the 100%, but the Platinum Trophy as well. And while we were playing it, they came out with a lethal mode, so I'll be doing it again in the near future. This is my game of the year. Everything from the story, the world, the fighting, the characters, it all just captured me. So you can be damn sure I'll be suggesting Ghost of Tsushima.